Okay, you guys, once again today, we're gonna start with cutting everything at 0 for your perimeter. So we're only gonna take off, let's do just an inch today. So we'll take off an inch. So we're gonna pull everything down directly from where it lives. So I'm gonna travel with my perimeter versus over directing everything back. Because once again, if I over direct back, what's gonna happen as the hair moves towards the front?
It's gonna get longer.
It's gonna get longer. So if I over direct this way too much, it'd get shorter. If I over direct this way too much, it'll get longer. So I wanna comb everything down from where it lives so that it will be level, okay? You wanna over direct if you wanted an angular cut going forward, but since we're keeping it level, we are gonna just cut an inch off and directly down from where it lives, you're gonna cut. Your fingers are parallel to the floor and your fingers are parallel to your parting. So we're keeping everything like checking, making it a checkpoint. Okay, there's my parting, which is parallel. It's not angled forward or back. It's just a nice level horizontal parting. My fingers are parallel with that. So does anybody know parallel, what it means? Right, so like if these lines were moving, will they ever intersect? No. So if my fingers were held angular one way or another, potentially they would intersect. Like this, they would never, if I'm always going away from it kind of thing, it would just get longer. But if I went upward, we would. Okay, so stopping and checking those things before you cut is always ideal. Okay, so bringing everything down, cutting that inch, and pulling it directly down from where it lives. So if that hair looks nice and straight down, you're good. If it looks like it's shifting at all, reposition yourself. And then you want to check balance, making sure that the sides are both even before you move on, because if you wait till the very end to check that balance, you got to redo an entire haircut again. So catch yourself before you move on. Once we cut that first section, I'm gonna go ahead and start dropping down the front because I'm gonna get above the ears because she doesn't have that dense of hair, and I want to make sure you all can see what you're doing. If somebody had thicker hair than this mannequin head that you're working on, don't take anything thicker than what you can see. Like I can see through this hair and see my guide. I don't want to take such a thick section that I can't see my guide from my previous section because I don't want to cut into my guide and potentially go shorter and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. And once you get above the ear, we will include the hair that's in front with our partings, making sure our partings are level. And then I also want to check to make sure that I'm in the same spot on both sides before I move on. Okay. Okay. So my partings level going all the way around. If the hair is starting to dry, resaturate before you cut. Okay. And once again, pulling everything down to 0. I want to find my guide and then just cut below my guide, keeping my fingers parallel with the floor and parallel with my partings. When we hit the ear, you could either pull it straight down over the ear, but give it a little slack and let the ear pop it up a little bit. Just make sure you don't cut a hole. Deborah really doesn't have that experience since her ears are like pinned against her head and connected, but that's one way you can do it. Or you can take a section just in front of the ear and comb it around the ear to tuck it behind to create a little over direction to allow for that space of the ear that's gonna push that hair up so you don't create a hole. So you can always take that parting, comb that section behind the ear, cut level with the back, then unhook it and connect the rest of the front, okay? Whatever your preference is. And then I'm gonna make my way over onto the other side. Okay, I'm gonna check for balance again. A little point over here. So if I rotate this forward, because this hair that hangs out like in front of the ear is the hair that naturally lays in the front of people's hair, heads and shoulders, unless they push their hair forward. But like if I were to just shake my hair out, the hair that wants to naturally rest in the front is typically right at the ears forward. So I'll take that hair and I'll square it off in the front and cut parallel to the floor to make sure that I got any point that was happening off. So now I'm balanced, got that point. I'm gonna drop down this last section on both sides and back. Comb everything where it naturally lives. Saturate the hair because it's starting to dry on me. I don't have anything to cut in the back. I'll keep making my way through the sides. Just a couple little straggly hairs. Just because this has the layer cut in it, there really wasn't much to cut. Okay, now that we have that, we're gonna move into our bang next, and then the face framing with a shag, and then we'll go into the actual layers. So I sectioned off her bang already, so you guys can see her bang. So her bang, for her specifically, it varies from person to person, depending on their head shape, but I'll show you how I got here. Put this out of the way. So when you put your comb on top of someone's head, the top center, your comb is going to lift away once the head starts to round forward. When the head rounds forward, a lot of that hair growing out of the follicle is actually growing out of the follicle forward on the round of the head. So that hair is naturally going to fall forward into someone's face and lay in their bang. If you go further back than that, that hair naturally is going to want to spill over to the sides. Then you're going to have like a funky layer in the hair of the bang, unless they're going to put the effort into like styling that forward every single day. But naturally where that's going to fall is not forward if you were to come all the way back here. So where the comb lifts from the head, that is where forward, everything's gonna go forward on somebody's hairline. The other thing is then once I come over, I don't wanna go below their recessions on their side, because now this hair underneath my recession isn't growing forward, it is growing down. So that's not gonna be a part of that either. So don't go below the recessions. Typically it's about center recession is where hair naturally wants to go. If I have a client that has like thinning recessions and likes to wear a bang, I'll bring it a little bit more or do like a face framing so it lays and covers over that like kind of gap of that bald spot that they have that feeling of for their hair. You like me? Mm-hmm.
So do you ever find that like at the recessions they're uneven? Like it's not completely
Like the density isn't the same?
Yeah.
There's definitely like people that I have experienced that with.
Cause like I pull it to make sure it's like even a lot of times I'm like, well that's not even, but I'm going way out here.
Yeah.
So I'm like I don't want to do that.
Yeah, so I will stick with what is truly a part of their bang and cut it. And I usually will cut it dry just so I can see where it's truly gonna lay too. And then once again, if I need to incorporate something past it, that's a part of face framing to make that connect and blend and flow like that. That's when I'll address it versus trying to force something in a spot where it's not gonna lay.
Yeah.
Cool? All right, so this is our bang, and today we're gonna do a curtain bang with our shag, okay? So I'll show you guys the curtain bang that I like to do. So this is my normal bang section, but then I do a second bang section.
What?
Right. Okay, so second bang section is, now I'm gonna lay my comb in that center part of my bang section that I just created. And where it lifts away in that spot is my second bang. And why I do that is because a lot of people with the curtain bang want like a little wispy center part and then going into the framing around the cheekbones. And this is how I identify the hair that's naturally gonna live in that little wispy range. So I'll have all these clipped off so you guys can see. So first bang is the higher up one. Second bang is that little guy. It looks like a little just smaller, same shaped version of your bigger bang within. Okay, I'll show it to the camera too so you guys can, if you go back to watch, you can see what that looks like. Okay. So now I take that section and focus on it first to establish my shortest length. Our mannequin head, because of the way that they plug in the hair, she's got an extreme just cowlick all along her front line that really pops up, as you guys can see. So we're gonna leave her a little longer than where I would normally cut somebody's hair because it's gonna pop up so much. It'll still sit where I would cut somebody's hair, but always put cowlicks into consideration and see how it's gonna pop up on you. Because if you have too much tension and you cut it exactly where you want it, and then that cowlick kicks in, it's gonna go way shorter than what you had intended. So I'm gonna take this section, pinch it together, and I'm gonna bring it down to her tip of her nose. And I'm gonna cut it at the tip of her nose initially so I can see where everything's laying, and then if I need to trim anything more up, I will. So I comb everything nice and smooth, get out any bumps, pinch it together, and then once again, I'm just gonna cut parallel with my fingers, and I'm like trying to position myself, and cut that. So she pops up to about halfway up her nose, so I'm gonna cut at the nose, so then hopefully it pops more so like above her bridge, like right around her eyebrow line. And the reason why I pinch, just so you know, is I'm over directing towards the center here. And with that over direction, those pieces are going to be slightly longer than the center pieces. Yep, okay. So that center of the nose popped her up to just above the bridge, like underneath that eyebrow when I go to style it. And then it's naturally already spreading and laying a little bit longer, going towards the edge of the eyebrows for that little wispy center curtain bang look. Now I'm gonna drop my bigger part of my bang, and I'm gonna start connecting it to this. But the other thing that I want to establish is where is my longest piece of my bang. So I feel a lot of my curtain bang people like it to come just underneath their cheekbone. So I'm gonna do that with Deborah today. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little sliver of hair on the outside edge of my bang, of what naturally is gonna be in the longest part. And I'm gonna go ahead and release that tension a little bit, put my fingers just underneath the cheekbone of where I want that to sit. And I'm gonna cut that piece. And like, do a little, instead of blunt, do a little slide cutting on that piece, okay? So now I have that back one establishing my longest length. So now all I have to do is connect point A to point B as my guide so that I don't go shorter than the cheekbone and I can blend everything in between. Make sense? Okay. So I'm gonna take that hair and I'm gonna pull it out. And remember what we talked about last or 2 weeks ago? The lower the elevation, what's gonna happen to that edge?
It's gonna be more like blunt.
Yes. If I do a higher elevation, say at a 45, a little softer, yep. What about at a 90? And what about at a 135?
Invisible.
I mean, it's gonna be so soft. Like super soft and wispy. It's gonna have layering in it. So really depends on how heavy or how like more light and piecey somebody wants their face framing to be, okay?
So kind of going back to your recession, if it is pretty sparse there, you probably want to hold it down lower, right? To create
Correct.
more weight.
Keep it fuller. Yep, great job. So we're gonna pull that out. I have my guide over here and I have my guide over here between my fingers. I'm gonna put the tip of my finger and the back of my finger at my guide so that I don't cut into it, I don't cut shorter than it, and I'm holding it at a 45-degree angle elevation when I go to cut it, so I can have a little bit of that softness in there without being too blunt. So I just cut all that off. I'm gonna release it. It all connects. And here is my little curtain bang. Coolio? The next thing you could do is, once it's dry, you can now do that finessing, that fine tuning. If it's a little bulky in a spot, do a little slide cutting through the edges to break it up. Anything that you need to do to really soften it and like tweak it to specifically your client. Cool? Right, now I'm gonna do the other side. Once again, take that sliver of a section. See where just below my cheekbone with the tension so that when it releases, it comes up just underneath the cheekbone. I'm gonna slide cut through it so it's not super blunt. Okay, I'll check my balance before I cut. Slightly longer. Okay, and once again, hold it at a 45-degree angle elevation. And this time, because I am right-handed, I'm gonna put the inside of my finger at the guide at the top of the bang and the point of my finger at the guide at the longest part of the bang. Hold it at that 45-degree elevation. Cut, connecting point A to point B. And then I have my little curtain bang.
Cute.
She cute? Okay. Curtain bang. All right. Now for the next part, that top part that I was talking about with your comb where it makes contact, from there to the top of the ear is gonna be the next section that we're gonna cut to be a part of all that layering in a shag around the face. Cool? So that's everything that's gonna live naturally in front of the ear. Okay.
And with the curtain bangs, you don't wanna, like
I don't really cross it over that much because I'm not looking for such a severe angle like that. If I'm wanting like something down more towards the jaw, I'll move over a lot more. But because I cut that piece to establish where my longest piece was, I just needed to make sure that I line my guides up from my center to that and hold my fingers in that position, and I don't need to like draw it over in any sort of way.
And I have a question as well.
Yeah.
Like when we were doing the face framing 2 weeks ago, we brought it like vertically for that, or is it like more diagonal?
For the bang or this next part?
Just like the bang, like the curtain part.
You're just coming down, like once again, putting your fingers in the position that connects those two guides. I don't need to do the 90 like pull out because I am now just connecting it to that first little bang that I cut. If I were to do more of a center part and not have those little wispies in the center and I want it like cheekbone down to under cheekbone, I would pull it out like the face framing and just do a shorter version than the face framing to be within those two guides. Hold my fingers out, pull them back and put them to see where they're gonna land and then bring it back out and cut it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is our section that we're gonna part next for that face framing. This spot can be pretty scary. And this part is only if somebody wants those really short, like face framing pieces here with their shag, and they don't mind that mullety feel with their shag of hair being longer behind the ear and losing a lot of that length up front, because like if they pull their hair up, they want like this like super cute face framing like PC thing and all that kind of stuff. So if somebody doesn't want that look, go back to the face framing that we did 2 weeks ago and use that as your guide, as connecting to your curtain bang down to your perimeter to keep a strong perimeter up front. But if they don't mind this more exaggerated mullety shag feel, go full blown, okay?
Yeah, like a prime example right now.
Right? Yeah.
Because I like all the stuff down around my
Right,
face.
so pull everything just in front of your ear so they can see truly what is only in front of your ear, and it is not establishing length at all on her.
There's probably a hole too, because I don't care, because I'd rather have the short stuff in the front. Did I do it?
So you guys see that?
Yeah.
See, like that's not her actual length of her
Yeah,
hair.
like I'm somebody who always brings my hair forward though, if I want that density around my face.
So does that make sense as a visual? Okay, so we're gonna take this hair and we're gonna take the longer part of our bang and we're gonna include it in it because we are connecting to it. And I'm gonna bring this hair up at a 90 degree, and I'm parallel with my parting, how I'm holding my fingers. Okay, and I'm gonna bring all this hair out at a 90, just directly out from where it lives. Once again, holding that bang. Like trying to position myself so I'm not blocking. So you guys can see this part, you all will see the next thing. So I'm gonna bring this up. I fold that hair away to make sure I see my guide. I'm gonna bring my fingers to my guide so I'm not cutting into my curtain bang. Okay, so I brought my fingers to the guide and I'm just gonna cut it. All that hair comes off. Okay, so there is my cut. Cool. Now when I release it, I have now longer hair down to here. It's not all blunt. It's gonna have all this layering in here. And then once again, this is where it comes down to finessing and making it work for the client. Any debulking, slide cutting, anything you do in there is based off of the density of what they want this front to look like, how piecey they want it, anything like that. So I'm gonna go through and just show you a little bit of slide cutting that I would do to make it a little bit more wispy. I leave a few inches between my fingers and the ends of the hair to give myself space to do some slide cutting and open up that hair and create pieciness. Because if I do it down here, it's still gonna feel really blunt and it's not gonna break it up enough. The other thing I need to put into consideration is wherever I put my fingers I'm gonna slide cut from, make sure it doesn't go shorter than when you release the hair and you see a natural bend at the root. Because if I cut shorter than that, what's gonna happen with those hairs?
Right out.
Yeah, they're gonna stick straight out. Nobody wants that. So always check yourself, release the tension. Where the natural bend happens in the hair, don't go further than that towards the scalp, or you're gonna have hair sticking out. Same when you go in with a razor to debulk, always put that into consideration. So I'm gonna leave those few inches out from my finger. If I let the hair fall this way and I go in as a right-handed person, I can go in and slide cut through to the ends, and gravity is resting that hair on my shears as I go through to slide cut, and I can just taper, and I'm just doing, it's going all the way in at the base of my shears, and when I'm slide cutting, I'm just doing the smallest movement. I'm not closing it all the way to the end. I'm just doing the smallest, ever so subtle movement with my shears as I keep moving. I don't stay in place. I keep sliding through till I get to the ends of the hair. And then I'll check myself. Towards the end, I've got a lot of like gapping, but towards the top, I still have a lot of weight. So I'm gonna just break that up a little bit more. If I comb it up again, I can now see that there is gapping happening through there. So I know I've created a little bit more airiness. And then this back one, I'm gonna do the same. Break it up. And you kind of want to gap them out too, not make them super close when you create those airiness, because then you're just going to create like almost like a frizz, like you took thinning shears to the hair through the ends, and you're not going to get defined pieces. So I want to create a gap between that slide cutting so that I can still have a strong edge and it's not all frizzed out, and that I can get those pieciness around the face. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. Pull it out directly from the parting, putting my fingers in parallel. I want to find my guide, so I fold that hair back. I found my guide. Now I'm going to cut. If it's too much for you to cut and not cut past your second knuckle, you can just recomb. And cut all that hair. Once again, it comes down, frames around the face. And just look at the comparison between the two of like how much more airy and wispy this side is versus this side. So I'm gonna go in, once again, break that up.
Your guide is coming from a piece of the bang, right, Mom?
Yes,
Okay.
that very like longest piece of my bang is my guide. Because I don't wanna cut into the bang that I've already established. I just want to connect to it so that hair continues to flow and blend with that section and not feel like there's a disconnect or a shelf or anything like that. So that's my front of my shag.
So cute.
Love it. All right, now for the rest of the shag haircut. You've got two options. If somebody wants a full bottom still to their shag, I would bring everything up on the head and do an inversion so that my length that's traveling from back here stays nice and full, and I don't cut into any of that at all, and I leave a fullness down here on the ends, but I still have all this layering happening in the crown to really give them lift and pieciness throughout. So that's an inversion layer. But for her today, she does have a strong base. I don't have to worry about thinning her out. We're gonna do 90s throughout her entire haircut. And so it is gonna create a natural tapering down towards the bottom. and build all this volume coming up, okay? So, I'm gonna respray her, she's starting to dry out. So I'm gonna do a vertical mohawk section right towards the back of the head. And I'll show you that section once I comb it out nice so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, that section in the back. I'm gonna take this section and I'm gonna pull it out to a 90. And my guide just fell out, so I know I can take all of this off at a 90-degree angle, which is directly out from where it lives. I will recomb, and now I'm pulling directly out from the crown, cutting a 90, going towards the top of the crown, 90, and then I'm gonna even pick up into the mohawk of the top, continue to move through, 90, to the top, 90, and then towards the round of the head, 90 from the front round of the head.
Should that connect to the bang eventually, or does it have to?
It doesn't have to. The other thing you can put into consideration is, because some people that's too short. So if I were to pull up my face framing that I cut, that's going to connect to my guide up front, that longer face framing part of the shag. So when it lays down my layers, they're sitting in with that layering you did around here. If I were to try and connect it to the bang, some of those pieces are going to be really short and it's going to create like a heaviness right here on the sides, which that's totally fine if you do that. Just break it up so it doesn't feel so heavy right in there and go through and slide cut through that. So now that I've established that guide, I'm going to keep doing those 90s through each section directly out from where they live. I'm not going to over direct one way or the other. So I'm going to move through this side, pull out a mohawk section from the side. I can see my guide, and I'm going to keep pulling everything. Whoop. If she could stay on her face.
You said all this is directly out, no over direction.
No over direction, directly out from its section that you pull.
So that's a big thing, you guys, when you're doing this haircut today. I want you to focus that your body should be moving with the mannequin. When we're working on these tabletops, move your mannequin head, like, unless you want to end up somehow in between the stations, which is physically impossible. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, you're going to get over direction and your layers aren't going to turn out the same way. Okay? That's true. You can use a stand, yeah, because I don't feel there's not that many of us, so we would have room for it.
Pulling it directly up from where it lives. Make sure you can always see your guide. You don't want to cut into your guide. If you can't see your guide, take a thinner section. Once again, it's all going to be based off of the person's density.
That's so cute.
I know.
I'm like,
I feel like every time I finish this class, like when I taught the designers, I had a few designers send me a private message. They're like, so I think I want to get a shag now and a curtain bang. Can I put myself on your book? I feel like everybody falls in love with this cut once they see it done. Because, I mean, it is a gorgeous cut.
Moves.
I've been trying to get every client to be a shag or some variation of it because I feel like a bob is such a classic anybody can pull off. A shag is the same. Like, I have a client who has a more square jawline and she hates how severe her back of her jawline feels. She has a shag and she has never been more in love with a haircut on herself. She's like, this is my cut. Because it just softens everything around her face, gives her that oval face shape. And she's got a ton of hair. Plus she's a product of the 80s, so she's totally vibing with it as well. But yeah, like, everybody can do a variation of this and it works for them.
And I think too, fine hair clients, like a lot of people are like, oh, you know, you want your hair to look fuller, so let's build the density, no layers. Some people don't care about the density at their ends, like myself. I want the fullness and volume everywhere else. So yeah, my hair looks really thick. It's all smoke and mirrors. I have very fine textured hair. It's maybe medium density, if that. But I mean, all of my fine clients that I do this on, they have natural wave or they like to style their curls like me or something like that. They all love it because of the volume they get.
Yeah.
So don't think just because somebody has fine hair, they can't do this.
Oh, I slaved on a section of hair.
Turn that around so you can really see the volume on that side compared to
Yeah, see, check her out, man.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's this side, bam.
Flawless.
She's vibing. I like it. Make
You guys
Jagger
have natural
what?
texture?
Oh, she keeps popping off. She's
Yeah,
got
but I'm so tempted
attitude
to, like, grow my
today.
blonde out just so I can perm my hair.
All right,
Oh, I think about it all the time.
right directly out. I look for my guide because I don't want to cut into my guide. I don't cut into my perimeter.
Yeah, so would you just stop once you hit the front of the ear area?
Well, I still bring it up to make sure I didn't miss a hair. Like, even though I'm probably not going to cut any of that,
Right.
I still just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I comb it all a part of it. It will fall out if it's not meant to be. But if it is meant to be, it will be cut. My guide, coming up to the top, 90s. All right, so now I want to cross check. I can bring this up towards the center and check off of my parting in the center. Got a little bit of length right there, I think. Let's see. Just a smidge. Even in the back, I can bring this hair up, take my parting directly out, and my parting in the back is level. So cross check yourself through the sides. You could do the same, bringing it out, making sure you're level. You're level. And then once again, finessing, fine tuning. If somebody has a really heavy top, I'll go in horizontally with a section. I'll bring that hair up. And then I'll go in and do a little slide cutting through the ends just to soften that very top layer. And let me tell you, that little step will make that haircut grow out a whole lot more flawlessly and not create a heavy weight line mushroom shelf effect on somebody. So going in and softening that top layer will really make that haircut grow out beautifully for your client, okay? It just ensures that there's no heavy weight line at all, that they're like, you can see exactly where that haircut stops.
Her hair looks like 10 times longer too. Like it's wild how like when you
I think
create
because it
that
makes
shape,
your eye travel,
right?
like the
'Cause
whole
it's
length
like
of the
that
head,
whole,
yeah.
like, yeah.
Versus just seeing one hair, you know?
So if somebody were thinner down here, it would look super tapered and wispy. But because she had the density to handle that, I could really give her all that layering and that shag to really take off and have just a gorgeous haircut. She cute, she cute,
She cute. Yeah.
right? Let her see on that left side. She's curving in a little too much. Okay, when is your first model? 11. Okay, then let's go ahead and get our mannequins and let's get to cutting. If we want to help speed up this time so we really ensure that we get the most out of this mannequin time, let's not cut a perimeter. You guys cut the perimeter 2 weeks ago. Let's go ahead and just go straight into the bang and face framing and then go into the layering, okay? If you need help getting one of the tripods set up, give me a holler and I will help you quickly set up your tripod so we can get right into cutting those mannequin heads. Yay!